Shabbat Shalom. Our Parsha this Shabbat is Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah. It opens, interestingly enough, with Sarah dying. It's the life of Sarah, but it opens with Sarah dying. So she dies, and Abraham negotiates to buy the cave of Machpelah to bury her. And we have been there. We have taken several trips to Israel, and we have been there. Abraham then sends his servant to find a wife for Isaac, his son Isaac. And the servant meets Rebekah at a well, you know the story. And then Rebekah returns with a servant to marry Isaac. Ishmael, you might remember from our last service, his son by Hagar, Sarah's maidservant, when she could not bear children at the time. Ishmael and Hagar, they were spared on the last Shabbat by an angel. Ishmael in this Parsha, he dies at 137. Abraham then remarries, has more children, is very prolific, then dies at age 175. So in a Parsha devoted and named for life, it's got death, it's got marriage, it's got everything going on in it. So it's always interesting that we have this juxtaposition of everything that happens in our life cycle of living. And in the middle, we are consumed with Abraham's two sons, the heads of two nations which are warring to this very day. We hear about the story of the finding of the wife for Isaac, for Eric. Maybe Eric needs a wife too, Prince Eric. A wife for Isaac, and then the death of Ishmael. We find, as I said, a new marriage for Abraham, and that he continues to go on even in the face of his devastating loss. He loves Sarah. It was a devastation to him. But what did he do? Did he stop? No. He kept going. And sometimes it's hard to realize this when we lose a loved one. When you know how to love so completely and fully, the best testament to that person, the best thing you could do is to continue loving and living, because they then live on through you. Abraham was promised by God that his offspring would be more numerous than the stars, and here we are, thousands of years later, descendants of a lineage and a history rooted in patriarchal destiny, devotion, and adherence to ritual. And here we are, thousands of years later, still trapped in our sibling rivalry. Abraham buys the cave at Machpelah to bury Sarah in, and the rules that we now have surrounding death and mourning of our loved ones is actually born. Abraham taught us this, and he taught us hospitality. Death, life, love, marriage, children, everything is present in this one Parsha at a time in our world when all is so fragile and at risk. Our future is dependent upon our ability to persevere in the face of loss, something which Abraham did. He honored his beloved and didn't just keep randomly going on. He continued living in a way that God had divined, fulfilling the promise. In this Parsha, we see a quick resolution to Abraham's journey. Wow, boom, all in this one Parsha. His legacy and the ways in which death actually bookends life. The Parsha beginning and ending with death, but highlighting marriage and children in the middle. This is a testament to the amazing story that we are all amidst. Just like the Torah is the book of our ancestry and our ultimate story, so too is the journey that we engage in individually and collectively. Our world is upside down. We are living in the topsy-turvy. Right and wrong seems to have gone completely out the window, and absolute madness pervades. The unthinkable is suddenly our new norm, all over the place, not just in Israel. And it's not something that we should get used to. Evil, pure, unadulterated evil has made its insidious way into the fabric of our lives, and with it, the threads that could unravel us all. It doesn't take much to unravel a sweater. One small thread torn, gone awry, can cause the entire thing to deconstruct. This is where we are right now. Make no mistake. And yet amidst the chaos and the darkness, people are fighting, risking death to keep life humanity afloat, and humane and fruitful for all, not just Jews or Ukrainians, but for humanity as a whole. Our Parsha has Ishmael dying at 137. Kabbalists put a lot of merit in this number. The root Hebrew letters of the word Kabbalah itself add up to the number 137. Kabbalah is the esoteric level of the Torah, and we connect to those letters when we do our meditation class, which will be starting again shortly with actual learning to read the Hebrew. Kabbalah literally means receiving or received wisdom. The gematria numerical value of the word is Kuf, 100, Bet, number 2, Lamed, 30, He, 5, added together, 137. This number appears explicitly for the first time in the Bible, in the Torah, in this Parsha, Chayei Sarah. Ishmael lived 137 years. Incidentally, Levi, the father of Moses, Avram, also lived 137 years. A Levi, the Levites. Significantly, Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac, which we just had last Shabbat, took place when Abraham was 137 years of age. Richard Feynman is quoted in the Times of Israel remarking about this particular gematria of 137. You might say the hand of God wrote that number, 137. The number 137 is seen as appearing on the boundary of the physical and the spiritual. And this is exactly where we are. It is not an accident that the Torah tracks our lives. I say this all the time. Just as we fight for our right to stay alive, to be Jewish, to just exist in this world, we see Ishmael in our Parsha, the head of an entire lineage that we are warring with, dying at 137, reminding us of the delineation between the physical world that we live in and the spiritual world on high, which guides us and ultimately calls us back to our home on high. How will we be judged when that moment comes? What mattered? What did we fight for? What did we stand up for? Were we silent? Did we speak up? What were we willing to sacrifice and die for? All over the world, Jews are uniting in ways never seen before. It is up to us. The number 137 reduces to 11. You add it up, 7, 3, 1. Then to 2, 11 to 2. The number of partnership. 2 loving individuals, like the 2 candlesticks we have on Shabbat, like Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, 2 sons with different mothers, Isaac and Ishmael, who beget 2 warring nations, and yet at the same time are juxtaposed against the backdrop of the complex love and partnership between us and the divine. Our Parsha starts with Sarah dying at 127, ends with Abraham dying at 175. 48 years pass in this one Parsha. And the legacy that they left still guide us to this day. Am Yisrael Chai. Let us all say it. Am Yisrael Chai. The people, the nation of Israel lives. Amidst death, amidst destruction, people are carrying on. They are still getting married. They are observing life cycles. They are still having bar and bat mitzvahs. They are still having brit milah. They are still going through with the commands of what God has asked us to do in this world, on this planet, as humans. Israelis have always known that death bookends life. And the journey in the middle should not be taken for granted. Anyone who has been to Israel, you can feel the pulse, the energy, the excitement. We have a group of people that want to go to Israel again, and that's probably going to be very necessary to help everybody rebuild when that time comes. May it come swiftly. Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah, is what is honored as her passing is mourned. So we have this Parsha that starts off, as we said, with life, but it's got the death, but it's got the life too. I was back east this past week, All over New York and New Jersey, everywhere I went, in the windows of stores, you couldn't go in any shop without seeing a poster. And I thought it was interesting. They didn't say hostage. Posters of person after person after person after person with their face and their details, with their name and their age and where they were from, with a giant heading, kidnapped. Everywhere you went. So we will not forget. So we will know who they are. So they won't just be some random name or some thought that's, passed around people on the news. These are lives that are gone to us right now, and we need them to be brought back. We need this. So we have to pray that their light will be honored and that there will be this unavoidable reminder that we can never give up, never surrender, never succumb to an evil that threatens us all. Death, sadly, bookends life on all sides, both sides. Let us continue to pray that peace will come swiftly. Death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. The cycle goes around and around and around. So what will our rebirth be after all of this death and this destruction? We've seen it time and time again. War obliterates, but what remains can be rebuilt stronger and more powerful than before. This Veterans Day weekend, we honor all of those who have fought and continue to fight for all of our lives. We will sing, Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel, the nation lives, as well as God bless America. May God bless us and those souls who have and continue to sacrifice for us all. May God watch over them and watch over their loved ones. May the book end not be the end of us all, but rather the beginning of a new and improved chapter. May the line between the physical and the spiritual be delineated, but also blurred so that they can become one. And may our worship and our prayers weave a blanket of peace for us all. And may the world that we rebuild reflect righteousness and honor those precious lives that have been lost, who have given theirs so that we can live. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.